Well, hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Indiana Basketball After the Game. Tonight, we're so fortunate to have Dean Garrett, a member of the 1987 National Championship team, on with us tonight. Dean, how are you, sir? Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, man, I'm doing good, and happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there also.
Been a minute since we've seen you. It's a good time to catch up with you here at the holidays. How's Dean Garrett doing, by the way?
You know what? Actually, today I'm doing pretty good, man. I got a house full of people in the living room. Actually, today is my birthday, and we're all just celebrating it.
Happy man! How did we get so lucky? Is a happy birthday? Well, happy birthday!
Hey, I appreciate it. You hit me on the right day.
To the great one. All right. When are you coming back to Bloomington, by the way? It's been a couple of years. I know I saw you a couple of years ago when you were here.
You know what, man? It's a good question, man. I was just talking to some friends of mine, and a couple of guys who've never been to Indiana, and they've never been, obviously, to Assembly Hall, and they look at it as the Holy Grail. And I was like, you know what? We got to go out there one day and go check it out so you guys can see what it's all about.
Absolutely. Let us know, man. We'll looking forward to that. The great Dean Garrett joining us here for after the game tonight. After Indiana takes care of Marshall 90-79. Brought to you by, of course, our friends at Southern Stone Restaurant here in Bloomington, located at the corner of Patterson and Rogers, home of Inside Indiana Basketball with Mike Whitson, which that returns this Monday at 7:05 with Don Fisher. But tonight, Dean, Indiana took care of a feisty and a pesky Marshall squad that just would not go away. But Indiana was part of that reason. But, man, they were a feisty bunch.
Man, you know what? I was watching the game. I did get a chance to watch it. It was a very athletic bunch for Marshall. Those guys were all very athletic and really good ball players. And if you take the Marshall off the front of that jersey, man, you wouldn't know any difference. Those guys are pretty good.
Yeah, especially, what was his name? Kinzer? I have to pull up the stats.
Yeah, Kinzer. Yeah, man, Kinzer played pretty well.
Dude was killing it. How many shots? He put up 17 shots. He hit 7 of those, but he also got to the free throw line a lot, 7 of 10 there. So he shot 70%. But 37 minutes, he ended up with 21 points on the night to lead Marshall. You had Taylor, they had 20 points. They had another guy in double figures. How do you say his name? Anakakili Killen. They were all very athletic guys, man. And that seemed to be something that Indiana has not seen. That they played such great defense this year, but those guys were getting loose a little bit underneath in the early going.
That was, in the beginning of the season, you look and see Marshall on the schedule, and you might not think that was a good test for those guys, but that was a very, very athletic bunch that Marshall has, man. And that's something that Indiana need to get through. And it was glad to see those guys play well and come back because, the game started, and I was like, uh-oh, you might be in trouble. But you know what? It's a Mike Woodson-led team, man, and that's another game where you almost think they might be in trouble, but, they came back and they fought hard. They played well.
Yeah, Marshall's one of those teams, man. They don't get a lot of opportunities to play a team like in Indiana, to come into a place like Simon Scott Assembly Hall. So you're going to get the best game, and they gave it to you. And this, you said it. This is exactly the kind of game Indiana needs, especially over these holidays. You can kind of get lazy. Well, they've got Syracuse coming up on Tuesday because they looked a little lazy defensively early on tonight, and I think this game is exactly what they needed to kind of light a fire under their butt before Tuesday.
You know what, man? It's so nice to see Indiana play Syracuse again. And obviously, we all know the reason why we're playing Syracuse, and people make a big do out of it. But that's the kind of game Indiana needs right now. Like I said, that all-season schedule is not that great. But once I saw Marshall and I saw how athletic those guys are, that was almost like a Big Ten game for those guys. So they needed that. And then going to Syracuse, that's a great matchup and a great test for those guys. I look forward to watching them myself.
Any fond memories of playing Syracuse in an Indiana jersey for you?
Hey, man, I got a few fond memories of playing them.
I had who did I have on the other night with Steve Risley, Steve and Charlie Miller, and I missed it because I was doing something. But Riz had got his ring out and was showing it to Charlie, and Charlie was all blinded, man. He hadn't been that close to him before, man. But that's something you can do as well. But this team looks very good. And talk about big men. You are one of the guys that led that team from the big man spot. Trace Jackson Davis tonight. How about setting an Simon Scott Assembly Hall record, 43 points. Yet 22 in the first half, so he was pretty balanced. But, man, he went off early and often.
You know what? First of all, I'd like to say kudos to Trace, man, for coming back because he had an opportunity to leave. And I'm glad that Mike did come into his life and change his mind to staying. So first of all, kudos to Trace for coming back. I'm always happy to see kids come back and not rush to get there because you still have so much more to learn. And it's just not all about basketball. Really, it's just all about being a young man and growing up and learning to college and being able to handle life. You know, everybody rushes off so fast and wants to play in the NBA so quick. And, you know, they don't know how to handle things later on. So kudos to Trace for coming back and for doing that. But he's playing amazing. And I'm so happy to see him doing that. I'm so happy that Mike talked him back into coming back and giving it another shot, another year, because it's going to just increase his value so much more later. But he's playing fantastic.
Man, boy, is he. And Sam Joaquin puts up a great stat, says, good evening, Hoosier fans. Only 5 other Hoosiers in 122 years of IU basketball has ever scored 43 points in a game. Rail, Schlunt, McGinnis, Downing, and the most recent, Coach Woodson. Pretty big names in Indiana basketball history right there.
It should have been 6, but Steve Alford never wanted to pass the ball because I probably would have had
that. That's because he was trying to get the record.
He was trying to get that thing. Yeah, it should have been 6. If I could have got Keith and Steve to pass the ball a little bit more, we'd have been all right.
Well, because Steve Alford had the record until tonight, 42 points, because he wouldn't pass the ball.
Yeah, he did against Michigan State. I remember that.
Yeah, February. It's because he wouldn't pass the ball to you, but that's why.
That's right. He wouldn't pass the ball. We have 6 or 7 up there already.
But yeah, what a big night for him. And it seemed to give him the more confidence as the night wore on. He just became more of a beast, and he was really looking to try to dominate down low.
You know what? It's one of those games where the other team comes in and guys don't understand it. You know, Marshall comes into Indiana, they're pretty excited. They're ready to play, and they're ready to come into Bloomington and do this. And Indiana has to understand how to hold that challenge and be ready because they're going to give you their best shot. Marshall might not play that well again, but they played that well tonight.
They certainly did, and they probably won't. And I think about that. I was like, man, now we'll end up seeing Marshall get beat by Southern Chattanooga in 2 weeks and wonder how this happened. Well, it's because it's special for them. I mean, dude, they don't get a chance to play on that floor. They don't get a chance to play in this building. And if you think that stuff doesn't jack you up, you're wrong. It does.
100%.
And they were just short tonight. But Indiana, you could also tell, was just better than they were when they flexed their muscles. You could see it. But Indiana needs to get some of the younger guys. Turnovers wasn't bad tonight. This is a team that loves to turn people over. That's how they make their bread. And they did have 21 points off of Indiana's turnovers tonight, which I'm something that's Coach Woodson will talk about. But with a team that does that specifically, only having 15 turnovers and only 6 of those in the second half, I asked him about it in the postgame presser. He's happy about that, especially, like I said, a team that's how they make their bread and butter, man.
You know what? I love the philosophy that Mike has with if they got 12 or more turnovers, everybody's got to run, and that's coaches included. And, man, that is so important. It just shows you that it's a team. It's just not you. It's all of us. So he has coaches running, probably the managers running. Everybody's going to run because it teaches you that this is a team aspect, and this is what you got to do to get better, man, and be accountable. And unfortunately, we haven't seen that in Indiana basketball in a long time. And that was one of the best things that Scott Dolson did by bringing back Mike Woodson, man. You got to bring back somebody who loves the program, somebody who loves the fans, somebody the fans love and identify with. And I love the fact that Mike handles it all in that way.
Absolutely, and you can feel that all around. It's a different environment, the entire team, the arena. I mean, you can feel it there. I mean, people are Indiana basketball being they're 6-0. I think this is the first time or only the second time in a decade that they've been 6-0 to start the season. So there's some things that are changing. Now they have to go on the road and travel to Syracuse. And you know what it's like to play that. I mean, national championship aside, they play that matchup zone defense. It's a little different. They're not as strong as a lot of Syracuse teams have been, but it's a different look that Indiana's going to get that they haven't seen this year.
Man, that's 100% correct, man. And that's just a great matchup, obviously, because we know the history of Indiana and Syracuse together. But it's just a great matchup for those guys to play right now. You know, it's a good thing to put on your resume, you know, for later on in the NCAA tournament. Hopefully they're able to get there. And if you can go into Syracuse, I don't really care what your record is. You went into Syracuse and got a win. If they could do that, that's huge for any team that can go in there and get a win, because that school has such a great history. So that's a great test for those guys. And like I said, I look forward to seeing it.
And Dean, knowing what it's like to play Syracuse, play a Jim Boeheim team, and watching this Indiana team, what do they need to do? I know they're going to have to hit some shots, but what do they need to do that maybe you haven't seen them do enough of?
Well,
something they need to improve on.
I guess we all know they need to get ready for that zone, because Jim Boeheim hasn't changed on the aspects of playing that zone, and it's a great zone because he's been doing it for so long. He's pretty much mastered it, and his players get it real quick. So that's something they're going to have to just catch a hold up real fast. You got to understand that you're going against a team that's got a great zone, and once again, you're going against a team that sees that Indiana in the front of your jersey. And none of these guys were born in '87, but Boeheim was, and he was there, and he's going to remember it. So I know he really wants this game. There's no doubt about it. He doesn't want this game just to put on his resume that I think he's beaten Indiana already before, but there's no doubt that he doesn't want to get Indiana again.
What makes that matchup zone so difficult to play against?
I haven't seen Syracuse this year, but I know the teams that he's had in the past. They're very long, they're very tall, and when you're in that 2-3 zone, 3-2 zone, man, you know, and you got those wingspans out, and all those guys probably got a wingspan of 7 feet. Man, it looks a whole lot difficult than it probably looks on TV, because they're wide and they're spread out. And Jim Boeheim's been practicing this and perfecting that zone defense for forever. He's got it down to a niche. So he knows the kind of guys that he's going to recruit and that he's bringing in. So he knows exactly what to do and what he's looking for when he's trying to get that zone going.
Absolutely, and that's something that you hope in Indiana can. We've seen them, Miller Kopp, start to find a groove. We've seen Parker Stewart heat up at times. Sometimes I wonder, do we need to see Parker Stewart trying to do more? But then I'm like, you know what? Why press it? He seems to hit the button when he needs to hit it. He's not pushing things, and he's letting things come to him naturally. He could have hit a couple of big threes, like I think it was Forrest mentioned earlier tonight. So he lights it up when he needs to, and it doesn't seem to be pressing the issue, which is the last thing you want anybody to do.
You know what? Doesn't need to press the issue right now. You know what? Basketball is a game of feel. It's a game of rhythm. It's a game of timing. And you know what? It's all going to come together for Parker Stewart and Miller Kopp, all those guys. You're going to see those guys starting to hit shots, and hopefully they save it for January, February, March, and April.
Absolutely. Now on the season, Indiana is up to 37% from behind the three-point line, something that a lot of people have worried about. But 37-point percentage in this day and age, that's pretty damn good, because this is not the same three-point line from 20 years ago. You know, they moved it back. So that drops it down, and most people are going to take 37%.
Well, I'll tell you right now, 37% is a whole lot better than what it was last year this time. Because they couldn't hit a three the last few years, it seemed like. And everybody was shooting them. I'd be watching the game on TV, and it's like, stop shooting it. That's not your shot. So you know what? As long as the right guys are shooting it, and it's the guys that can hit the shot, that's all great. And it seems like Mike has that balance. And you don't see 7-footers coming out there just shooting threes just because it's the thing to do nowadays. It's not the thing to do for everybody. Everybody needs to to get into their mode and get into their role of what you do best. And so 37% for an Indiana team, to me, is great because we weren't doing that last year.
Not only that, they are shooting exactly 50% from the field for the year right now, and 30. Let's see, what did I say? 37% from the three-point line. They're holding their opponents to 37% field goal shooting and 26% behind the three-point line. Those are the numbers that you really like and want to see.
Man, that's just great coaching, something we haven't had in a long, long time. That's just great coaching by Mike. Basketball is not really that hard of a game. And I think all these guys are watching Steph Curry shoot threes and all these things that these guys are doing in the NBA, but that's not for everybody. And I love watching Mike because I see that team looking for Trace down low. They look inside, they bring it in, they bring it out, they move it all around. And that's what you're supposed to do. Basketball's not that tough. Two is still a two. A dunk is still a two. And not everybody needs to keep shooting three.
Absolutely. Dean Garrett joining us, 87 national champion member, of course. And don't forget, we're brought to you by our good friends at Southern Stone Restaurant, located at Patterson and Rogers here in Bloomington. We'll have to get Dean out there for a meal when he comes in. That's where you can find Mike Woodson at Inside Indiana Basketball Monday evening at 7:05 with Fish. So don't forget about that. Dean, what's up with you? You're still in Las Vegas, right?
I am. I'm still here in Las Vegas, man. I'm not going nowhere. I saw the temperature today out there. It's probably 30-something, man. It's 60s around here, and everybody's complaining that it's cold. So I'll take this cold all day, any day.
That sounds like Steve Risley. We have him on sometimes. He's out in Southern California. Says the same thing. He's like, man, he said, I'm going. I just got off the beach. Why would I come back there? But yeah, can't pass that up. But it's basketball season here, which is a great thing. A lot of basketball going on out there in Las Vegas right now. As a matter of fact, you've had Duke and Gonzaga there last night with a great game as Duke knocking Gonzaga off, and then Gonzaga played someone else like a few days before that or the week before that, I believe.
Yeah, man, this is the place to be for college basketball right now. I actually had the opportunity to go to the game. I think it was Sunday night. Michigan played Arizona. And so I actually went to that game, and I was cheering for Michigan for the first time in my life, but I wanted to see them win, but they couldn't pull it out against Arizona. But, man, this is the place to be. They got the Maui Classic out here. It's not in Maui. It's in here in Las Vegas, and you got Duke and Gonzaga last night. This is like basketball mecca right now.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it continuing because Big Ten season's right around the corner. We got a few more games coming up. Indiana's got the Crossroads Classic, the last one of that with Notre Dame. We've got the Syracuse game on Tuesday coming up, and then right around the corner, Big Ten play, man. It is going to be here before you know it. They're at a 20-game schedule now, Dean, so it's a little tougher now. You got to play a few more conference games, which makes it the season a little bit more of a grind. But they seem ready for that this year, a lot more prepared than they were last year.
Man, I love it. I can't wait for the Big Ten season to start because you're going to get a quality opponent every single night. Doesn't make a difference what that record is. You're getting a quality opponent, man. And if those guys would really start understanding that it's about that name in the front, because I don't care if you're going to Nebraska, if you play for Penn State, it don't matter. They see that Indiana in the front, and 9 times out of 10, they probably want to be where you're at. So that team's going to give you their best shot. And that's the one thing about even we played that, you know what, you better be ready to play because they're ready to play you, and I said that before. We had Coach Knight as our coach, and you know what, they wanted to see him and they wanted to beat him. And unfortunately, we were on the other side of you trying to beat us. So got to be ready to play every single night in that conference.
Now, of course, obviously you played for Bob Knight, who coached Mike Woodson. I'm assuming you had the opportunity to meet Mike Woodson maybe during your time at Indiana?
Oh, of course. I've met Woody a few times before that, just playing in the NBA. And even before that, when I was still at IU And then when I was thinking about making a venture into coaching, I know Coach Knight reached out to Woody and asked him to kind of take me under his wing. It just wasn't my thing for me. And obviously, when Coach came back February of last year, 2020, Woody was there before he even knew that job was going to be his. We were all back there, so we all had a chance to mingle and get together. So, yeah, 100%. I definitely know Woody.
What was that like getting to come back for that? I didn't get much chance to talk to you for that, but what was that like for that event for you and all those guys?
Man, that was the best feeling ever, man. I know when Randy Whitman called me and asked me to come back and just really didn't ask, he just said, hey, everybody's coming back. And I was like, count me in. Doesn't make a difference. I'll be right there. Man, just to know that Coach was coming back and just to get that chapter of Indiana basketball, that was for us. That was a chapter for all Indiana fans and for all players who played for Coach before. That was our thing, And sure, I watch TV after that, and you see the negative comments and, oh, Coach Knight this and Coach Knight that, and he doesn't deserve that. And I'm like, turn the TV. It wasn't for you. It was for us. That was an Indiana thing. That wasn't a nationwide thing, unless you wanted to take it on as that. But that was an Indiana thing. That was our day.
Joe Hillman was on with us the other day, of course, one of your teammates, and you also neither from Indiana. Where are you from originally?
California, Southern California.
Well, Joe Hillman, California kid as well.
Yes.
So both you guys are California kids, but both have just become. It's like you were both born in Indiana. It is both have soaked up the history. Talking to Joe, he spouts up names all the time, left and right. I mean, every bit of it. And that is special because, when you don't grow up with something, it's not that easy to grasp all of that. And you guys have really just immersed yourself in it. And it's great to see that in any program.
You know what? Joe and I have been lucky enough to be adopted by Indiana. That's what I would say. We've both been adopted by the state of Indiana. I don't think either one of us would have thought or even could have fathomed the love that we get from just putting on that jersey and people from that state. It's an incredible thing. It's a thing that I cherish. Very, very close to me. My daughter was born in Indiana. I met her mother at Indiana. So, it runs through my blood now, her blood. It is what it is. I'm a Hoosier. My daughter's a Hoosier, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I think Keith Smart, he's the same situation, I think, right? And this wife is from here, I believe.
Yeah. You know what? She's there right now. She's in Bloomington right now, actually. I saw her a week ago. Their son actually plays football for the University of Hawaii. Hawaii was playing here at UNLV, and I know she told me, she's like, I'm going back to see my parents. Her parents were her dad was, and I think her mother too, were a professor at IU. So they still live in Bloomington. So she told me she was going back for Thanksgiving. So she could possibly still be in Bloomington. I know if she's not there now, she just left.
Very cool. Well, man, I look forward to doing this again with you when you have the time. I love having you on, and especially, I think it's going to be a fun season to talk about these games each and every night as we do after each one, and hopefully you'll join us again whenever your time lets you.
Hey, man, I tell you right now, I'm clearing all my credit cards off because when they get the first round, and, it's all spur of the moment. You don't know where they're going and anything like that. But as soon as I hear where they're going, I'm booking a ticket, and I'm coming straight to the first round game, and then hopefully to the second and third round game, and hopefully to the Final Four, man. So I'm clearing all my credit cards off now because I know I can't book a ticket yet. It's going to be spur of the moment, but I'm going to be ready to go. So I'll definitely be there for sure.
Well, we'll put you to work, man. We'll get you credentialed and put you to work, and we'll be doing the games live from the game site.
Let's do it. I look forward to it. Let's do it.
The great Dean Garrett, 1987 national championship member from Indiana. Dean, I can't thank you enough, man. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays to your family and all your friends, and I hope you guys are having a great time out there.
Oh, man, I really appreciate that. They are. I can hear them in the background because I came in the room and closed the door. Everybody's loud out there. But We appreciate those happy holidays and happy wishes, man. And same to you guys, same to everybody out there listening and everybody's family, man. Everybody be safe and just have a good holiday season.
Well, I appreciate it. Dean Garrett joining us here on a big win for tonight for Indiana as they beat Marshall 90-79. Trace Jackson Davis with a Simon Scott Assembly Hall Arena record, 43 points tonight on 18 of 24 shooting, 7 of 9 at the free throw line. Xavier Johnson, let's not forget, 7 of 12. He had 20 points, 4 of 4 at the free throw line. Grace Thompson had 8 points. That was the bulk of the scoring there. But good job of Indiana to go 6-0 as they will head off to Syracuse on Tuesday. And I'll be back on Monday morning with the Indiana Sports Beat Radio. But until then, appreciate to Dean Garrett. Appreciate to you guys. Without you, we've got no reason to be here. And to John, the producer. Until Monday morning, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.